On May 23, 1993, wax, or the discovery of television among the bees, entered the internet, projected by a cable into a wall. Inside that internet, there are no movies there. And so wax, waiting until the last frame enters the wall, then begins the first movie on the internet, to continue forever, for that is how the first movie on the internet begins, at the first frame after the last frame. A true story, and this is that movie, and in reverse. And so, we begin.
As you are aware, the internet is a DVD on a coffee cup. I could show you how that happens, how the handle of the coffee cup becomes the hole in the center of the DVD. How the interior of the coffee cup disappears into the surface of a flat disc as I spin. I am the first movie on the internet. I am inside a DVD on a coffee cup. I could show you how that happens. How the movie appears between two frames, between the front and the back of the DVD disc. I am the first frame after the last frame. I am the movie in the DVD on the coffee cup. I am wax, or the discovery of television among the bees. I am 999 years, 364 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 48 seconds long. And then it was dark, until dawn.
Our destination was one of the infinite planets of the future dead. This one was still geologically active. Our destination was one of the infinite planets of the future dead. This one was still geologically active. Our destination was one of the infinite planets of the future dead. This one was still geologically active. Our destination was one of the infinite planets of the future dead. This one was still geologically active.
The X shape falls from top left, traveling both towards some shrinking distance. This X is followed by a second, perhaps not the same one, heading towards a similar destination. A third rises from bottom left. The X's both lead and follow. They are and are not Jacob. Here in this strange place where nothing either is or is not what it seems. A half-lit planet or moon covers the sky, rotating the void. Jacob will check into this hotel for the evening. This readable planet has a squashed shape, from having been dropped. Explosions or snowman eyes/noses appear on the surface of the planet, winking, blinking, dripping, sneezing, killing all life nearby.
On it, cities were forming. Each city birth was preceded by the appearance of the Tower of Babel. On it, cities were forming. Each city birth was preceded by the appearance of the Tower of Babel. On it, cities were forming. Each city birth was preceded by the appearance of the Tower of Babel. On it, cities were forming. Each city birth was preceded by the appearance of the Tower of Babel.
Through the moon's surface, we see the approach of a faceted land patch with a wedding cake Babel tower right in the center, next to a dwarf mountain bump. The tower turns and starts to pull away. This is a place without words, or where words are things, and things are words. The camera, chasing that rotating Babel, finds it from another angle. Or perhaps, as pointed out so many times before, finds a different Babel of identical appearance. Synchronization of the very parallel realms, each of which carries nearly identical history, could allow such instant jumps from one space to another. The Tower of Babel has disappeared into a rough and mountainous patch of empty land. Fertilized by the loss, this land patch gives birth to a rough citadel city made of clumped hexagon towers that automatically rise out of the crinkled land surface.
Hive of words that articulated as streets and avenues. Office buildings and windowless apartments. Hive of words that articulated as streets and avenues. Office buildings and windowless apartments. Hive of words that articulated as streets and avenues. Office buildings and windowless apartments. Hive of words that articulated as streets and avenues. Office buildings and windowless apartments.
Elsewhere in this void world, another patch of land is giving birth to a maze city, which has the coherence of a single world. From the maze which appeared spontaneously out of the grey non-dirt of this crystal world, a clip art city has been created, and that now twirls beneath us, stretched onto the skin of a highly curved space. Every building is empty, linked to other spaces which are themselves linked to other, different space, in infinite regression. The unpopulated city of the future dead, everyone is at work, somewhere else, spins with constant velocity, having stored enough energy in its flywheel to keep the motion going for 1,000 years or an infinite number of murders, whichever comes first. A building skeleton, made of stacked plane layers, twirling in a counter direction. It slices the dark. Probably a ball-bearing factory for infinitely thin-skinned, hollow-formed ball bearings with faceted surfaces, just right for the machines that must run in a world like this. Floor after floor of productive space, under repair, under construction, under excavation, under the microscope, twirling and dancing here under the public headlights. Where were you when the lights went on? The walls disappeared, and the building began to spin. In midair, of course, swept from your desk into the hurricane wind. Yet another in-progress housing project. At this point, you might begin to wonder whether the buildings are actually temporary shapes of the future dead, who take on such shapes when they are moving through the world looking for murderous work. A solid building with many window holes in it. We travel through one of the windows. Last time we traveled those such a shape, it was the vibrating book that carried the words Garden of Eden Cave, and their meaningful analog. It must be that every house, being a home, has such a table and such a book.
I flew through like a daredevil on the way to the religious center, the temple of death. Where priests and military planners were deciding on the shape of the new culture. I flew through like a daredevil on the way to the religious center, the temple of death. Where priests and military planners were deciding on the shape of the new culture. I flew through like a daredevil on the way to the religious center, the temple of death. Where priests and military planners were deciding on the shape of the new culture. I flew through like a daredevil on the way to the religious center, the temple of death. Where priests and military planners were deciding on the shape of the new culture.
Passing through a window takes us to a columned entrance, where a skull waits without an alias. Hello, it says. Hello, you say. Hello, it says. Hello, you say. So forth, so on. A couple of polite idiots opening the door for each other, stuck therein for eternity. dissolve back a few frames, so that we approach this skullet again for the second time on the same path. Perhaps this is the same skull, associated with Zoltan Abbasid, which smiled so vigorously at its own nearby disconnected hip bone. Now, the camera pulls in until the door frame vanishes and we are alone with the skull against darkness. A nothing darkness, which it turns out is the center point of an auto-assembling building made of columns, little gesturing stick figures, and streams of dead body writing. Lego castle, made of parts, each of which would rather just be itself, unconnected, no social order, just back in the box it came in. We travel down the front of this Notre Dame as if flying like a superhero. Our destination is the arched entrance. Whalebone mouth, what's beyond? Hear the creak in the background? Maintenance costs are high here, in Centerville, the great city of the Polygon people. The creaking heat sent out by the grinding creek, however, isn't wasted. Little bee people sit too close to the crack where the joint noise grinds, their bony fingers out, gathering what warmth they can.
Soul would have a home built on a floating patch of land. Soul would have a home built on a floating patch of land. Soul would have a home built on a floating patch of land. Soul would have a home built on a floating patch of land.
A great mountain, as it rotates, in synchronism with the slowly departing culture sign, the wood stud frame of a small house emerges out of its polygon ground. As we pull back, we can see the square edges of this ancient personal landmass. Top view of crinkled land emitting house walls as studs. Parts of the proto-house hang out over the void. All that is needed to finish the picture is wallboard. Beneath the multiple angled flat surface of this mountainous region can be seen, through dissolve, the unspeakable simplicity of a vocal superstructure. This curved support could be interpreted as the magic word for wallboard.
Each house would have a certain number of rooms, each with a chair. Each house would have a certain number of rooms, each with a chair. Each house would have a certain number of rooms, each with a chair. Each house would have a certain number of rooms, each with a chair.
A symmetric house, which may actually be one of millions hidden down there in the pixels making up the polygons of that great scalable mountain land, currently invisible but probably out there, nearby. This house looks a bit like a jail with 2 chairs and 2 floors. A designer version of a jailhouse, fewer chairs, and more comforts, such as the curved stairway linking the infinite floors. There is a window upstairs, though the monastery in the desert, aka the library in progress where Jacob met Father Bessarion, had a similar window. It didn't have a staircase or second floor.
Sometimes there would be a lamp or a stairway for decoration. Sometimes there would be a lamp or a stairway for decoration. Sometimes there would be a lamp or a stairway for decoration. Sometimes there would be a lamp or a stairway for decoration.
Dissolve away the walls and window of this designer home to show us what's left. A chair for reading, a lamp to stare at, a sort of proto-TV. At least if your eyes are fast enough to catch the subtle changes due to electricity's basic instability, and a staircase, perhaps, since a helix shape, used for reproduction. The staircase spins around an off-center axis. The double helix stairway, when placed alone on screen, revolves correctly around itself. This could be part of a grinding mechanism. Certainly, such a false escalator won't take you from washing machines, first floor, to TVs, second floor. Just to show everything, top and bottom, this empty public room tumbles end over end. If traveling away from us, it might turn a bit red, and any panicked shouts muffle with pitch change. At night, some people claim the Hubble telescope, occasionally inattentive and inward-turned, will ignore the stars and scan the oceans instead, where it finds particularly fascinating the spectacle of the Titanic steamship falling with a similar redshift, in endless gentle acceleration through the deep waters of the North. A detailed corner of the whale-ribbed jail room, close up, located on the anti-wallboard mountain on the planet of the future dead, located somewhere near the exit from the Garden of Eden cave, and, as always, close to Jacob's death. The center of the jailhouse room. The furniture turns on its merry-go-round axis, echoed on the multiple screens of a BTV in the final stages of collapse.
There would always be a basement, and in it would be the clock. The entertainment center. There would always be a basement, and in it would be the clock. The entertainment center. There would always be a basement, and in it would be the clock. The entertainment center. There would always be a basement, and in it would be the clock. The entertainment center.
Beneath the vacant house temporarily serving as Jacob's tomb, In the 6-sided basement, a multi-user hypercube with excess storage capacity. The atomic clock at Jacob's post-death house, not a home, where the minutes pass like hours, and time itself is used to generate electricity. A frozen transformation, revealing how a coffee table as can be seen as momentary design stop between a TV cube and a sofa. This is similar to the place where, back in happier living days, Jacob and Melissa ate astronaut ice cream. An off-angle entertainment combo spins like some sort of gear sub-assembly from a post-plague town square clock.
Controlling both the television and the bed, as well as the toilet. Controlling both the television and the bed, as well as the toilet. Controlling both the television and the bed, as well as the toilet. Controlling both the television and the bed, as well as the toilet.
Another floating sofa complex passes through mid-frame, the clacking of its spin apparently attached to some invisible machine. Perhaps we are backstage at the Garden of Eden sign, spring wound and ready for horrible harvesting action. When the sofa complex of this house for the shapeless and future dead leaves the frame, we follow and discover that they've gone off to the bathroom. Either that, or the elements of that other room have reshaped themselves into this bed/wall/toilet complex. Perhaps the new wall separating the two spaces is a screen on which the bed and toilet watch each other.
All of which suddenly reminded me that I was dead. All of which suddenly reminded me that I was dead. All of which suddenly reminded me that I was dead. Which suddenly reminded me that I was dead.
The camera, exhausted, drops towards the bed, which is covered with a flat, even picture plane. Out of the dark behind the bedspread, the X shape rushes towards us. It is stopped by the near picture plane we extrude from our eyes. There's an eye box in graphics space, created to capture creatures like this, with the nearest wall called hither and the farthest wall called yon, perhaps first conceptualized at a time when animals were still plentiful on Earth, and boats made out of wood carried harpoons and sank attached to whales. Here, like a timid killer or familiar devil, the X shape tries to move sideways in order to escape attention by becoming part of the dark. The X shape drops listlessly in a free flight from the top of the frame. The sadness of all anti-gravity would be visible on its face if there were a body that had a face, rather than just an object from a children's game spending time in the afterworld. A rolled-up carpet carrying the near-dead Jacob enters from underneath us. It bounces against something in the background, and starts to turn sideways. Jacob is facing up with his eyes closed, enjoying the view as it passes by in parallel beneath his eyelids.
I'd fallen to the floor of the cave. I'd fallen to the floor of the cave. I'd fallen to the floor of the cave. I'd fallen to the floor of the cave.
Jacob's soul, in underpants, does a frame-mediated dance above his overclothed real body, which is flat on the bumpy floor of the cave somewhere beneath him. Jacob on the floor of the cave, or perhaps back at home at the Garden of Eden, slowly sleeping through the day, waiting for something to happen. It is after the end of the world. Don't you know that yet? The flicker-framed, barely suited soul of the missing beekeeper twists in attentive hope, hoping that such twists and turns communicate something, i.e. found a place with lots of souls to eat. Here's how to get there.
My death was relaxing and beautiful. My death was relaxing and beautiful. My death was relaxing and beautiful. My death was relaxing and beautiful.
Low angle of Jacob, lying on the floor of the cave, wearing his bee gloves. Protective suit or not, he should be more careful. A very distant self-collecting distant fragment shape, a sort of supernova in reverse without the heat, assembles somewhere in the vicinity of his now vacant chest. These are missing words looking for a home for the night, lost among the breezes and extinguished lights of this unelectric neighborhood. Jacob is not alone, as the lost words spell themselves above his heart and its beating almost stops. He is going to take a sentimental journey, or semi-mental, it is not so sure. Tear-struck, this distant-colored soul ribbon attempts to twist and wring itself out. Dryness is important in the void. Get wet and it takes you days to dry properly.
I certainly didn't want to waste very much time on it. I had other places to go. I certainly didn't want to waste very much time on it. I had other places to go. certainly didn't want to waste very much time on it. I had other places to go. I certainly didn't want to waste very much time on it. I had other places to go.
Sudden reappearance of that cloud of identical portable eyes, all traveling aboard dollar bill style pyramids, collected in the shape of the BTV. They are an active bunch. The one closest to this scene, which has been watching us and all we see, hear, tilts back either to give another eye a deserved turn here. B glasses. Perhaps crossing an axis, we go to the other side of Jacob, who is still supine, waiting for the promised land, or at least a subway to the west bank of the River Jordan. He may only be stunned, or he may be permanently stunted by this near-death experience. All that I can say is that, looking forward through the haze of narrative time, I cannot see his face again. His veil-stuck visage now becomes invisible to itself. Jacob on the beautiful floor of the cave. Soft light and soft music play. The walls lean over to see the last of his beauty before it departs for the crowded other world. Jacob will be found by tourists, turning the corner in mid-sentence, enjoying vacation until that very moment here in this national park underground moonscape. Out of the bottom frame boils a cloud of haze from now ancient Alamogordo. The very body and part of the soul of Fat Boy. The last we are allowed to see of sacred, not scared, Jacob are the soles of his shoes. If memory worked only by last impression, we would always have to an image of him that began at the ground and worked up to the knees. If, by mistake, we use words to remember him, we will think only of a leather-shoed soul, tough for wilderness wandering, suspended gently over the edge of the cabin door at the end of the day, feet still attached, face invisible.
The first place you stop after you've died is the pulsating place, which is designed to be familiar to people. We used to have bodies. The first place you stop after you've died is the pulsating place, which is designed to be familiar to people. We used to have bodies. The first place you stop after you've died is the pulsating place, which is designed to be familiar to people. We used to have bodies. The first place you stop after you've died is the pulsating place, which is designed to be familiar to people. We used to have bodies.
Multiple pulsating oscillator shapes, coherent and visibly stable harmonics of electric frequencies created by natural power sources and brought to TV by various mediations and temporary meditations. Another oscillating of conundrum shape, n-dimensional mapping of unknown and invisible things or places or people or words or acts, as if the camera atop a rocket heading for moon crash, snapping pictures according to purpose during the last moments of its downward arc, suddenly became contemplative, transparent to itself, and extended the last minutes of its mission by taking odd shots of the soon doomed electrical processes at work within it. Many more proto-shapes show their preliminary cases, functional voids or a homogeneous society of curved shapes. Their smooth stutter has increased in speed, and what was once one has now almost become many. Soft-edged parodies of inner cell spaces appear, showing as clumps strung like ganglia meant for mechanical communication. Very wet sounds in the background.
There, I was reshaped in preparation for transmission to my next body. There, I was reshaped in preparation for transmission to my next body. There, I was reshaped in preparation for transmission to my next body. There, I was reshaped in preparation for transmission to my next body.
Resolution of simple voids into active egg shapes, attached like bullets to an ammunition web. Each egg is vaguely transparent, or currently between active family assignment. Perhaps these are rental children. One large egg with a quantized edge tries to call out. There might be a skeleton inside there, pushing hard against the opaque wall. A former living soul surprised and perplexed to find itself trapped without enough air or magazines in a soft-walled rubber room, with no apparent way to get back where it came from, or even simple escape.
I became a short poem in the language of Cain. I became a short poem in the language of Cain. I became a short poem in the language of Cain. I became a short poem in the language of Cain.
A ribbon becomes visible through a changing egg. The invisibility at center acts like the pupil in an eye, letting stairs and souls pass in and out of the opaque liquid and nerve darkness behind. The oscillator landscape changes into a flash of light, blanking outside and thought. Out of the white blankness appears another style of eggscape, a wrinkled and somewhat brown wiggling blinker which portends even further change in future shots.
I would get my new body after I killed. I would get my new body after I killed. I would get my new body after I killed. I would get my new body after I killed.
A new type of soul assembly line appears. A tube laid diagonally across the frame uses topologically transformed egg pulses, or Kane language talk, to draw newly departing souls up to the departure lounge above, where there are comfortable seats and people who will check your passport. The tube pulse escalator alternates its upwards track with harsher repulsion bands that throw the travelers back to the floor at liftoff. Since this lounge is the only way out, so many of the Kane poem people previously seen in the pulsating egg place are willing to be mistreated, as the reward for persevering is great. Looking up the escalator tube that carries the dead out of the pulsating eggland to a happier place, where they can have bodies, we see repulsion bands, which flip and flop in direction. This is the logic of heaven-bound travel. 3 steps forward, 3 steps back, but you'll eventually get there if you just keep at least 10% of your wits about you. The hyperbolic transport tube as seen from outside, covered with the thoughts of bodies in active emigration.
When the actual transmission began, the X shape was there for me. When the actual transmission began, the X shape was there for me. When the actual transmission began, the X shape was there for me. When the actual transmission began, the X shape was there for me.
We are retreating from the pulsating place, as our hero moves on to get a body, traveling through these digestive travel tubes. We pull back the lens of our souls, retreating to a comfortable distance, knowing that far below, everything is working well. As Jacob's invisibly clad soul moves through the banded tube void, our personal familiar, the X shape, appears next to the tube, encouraging the future emergence of Jacob. A travel tube runs diagonally from top to bottom of frame. It holds this position to serve as a direction indicator for the X shape, who is rushing forward from off-screen. Its candy cane stripes can also be interpreted as a warning barrier. Oblivious to barriers, the rotating X continues on its way, perpetually and perceivably moving from frame left to frame right.
There were new escorts also, sent from the Temple of Death to watch me. There were new escorts also, sent from the Temple of Death to watch me. There were new escorts also, sent from the Temple of Death to watch me. There were new escorts also, sent from the Temple of Death to watch me.
A pair of stacked heads upside down wait staring for another pair to appear, so they can get an idea of what other faces look like, not being able to see their own, and sick of their attached other. New blood, upside down on the right, trying to lead a staring contest with the other pair of twins, who've just left, unfortunately. A pair of twin heads, plumbing for brains, or perhaps only hollow-skinned beyond the gray surface of their faces, follow an invisible path towards us. We pass into the forehead of the bottom intelligence. With candy grin, we are greeted by the happy skulls seen before at the entrance to the Temple of Death. There's that same skull, seen so often, winging in migration over the missing dark ocean, heading towards us but never getting closer. Once again, the Batten world's shape continues its left-to-right voyage through the dark. Tossed up, a bone flying in the air. It won't change into a spaceship while you watch. But it won't fall to the ground, either.
Together, we approached the final journey. Together, we approached the final journey. Together, we approached the final journey. Together, we approached the final journey.
The skullbird, still grinning, something stuck in its teeth, now has a metaskull on its back, a virtual monkey of vengeful consciousness gripping hard so as not to lose its ride. The rather dumb X shape, just a little bit in this complex machine, continues its journey through the tourniquet of the afterworld. Dissolved to the very end, the last image of the film, where some hidden planet is either withering in a wax prison, or emerging from the comb. It rotates like a wax atom in center screen. Since this is the last shot in the film, though we are not yet at the end of the film, this is the point from which Waxweb emerges. Hidden inside that planet is all the time and consciousness of this film, in all coherent orders. Here comes the sun. Here melts the flame. There goes the dark, once again.